and his objectives are to understand the dynamics of an interview or talk show, to prepare for the questions that may be asked, to present a positive image on the camera, and this he is to do in 5 to 7 minutes. And so I would like you to welcome Peter as our guest. He's recently written a book entitled A Year in the Life, and that indeed is the title of the interview, A Year in the Life. So, sit down, Peter. It's great to have you with us.
Thank you, Mark, for that wonderful introduction. And I must say, what a very brilliant audience you have here tonight.
Yes.
A stunning welcome. Absolutely. I'm so thrilled to be here. It's been a long time, so thank you for kindly asking me back.
Okay, well, many thanks. And I will say they're always ebullient, this lot. So be prepared for the enthusiasm. Now, a year in the life, is a year in the life as a division director.
Yes,
in
that
Toastmasters.
That is correct. Yes, a year in the life of a division director. I was so fortunate to be elected in 2010 in Sligo. And before I get into talk about the year, that was at the Sligo conference held in Sligo, which is in May. There's one in Killarney this May, and I would encourage everybody to go down and to experience a Toastmasters conference. There is nothing like it. You have everything under one roof.
Well, that is, I think, an epitome of ebullience
Yes.
to do with Toastmasters. Well done. Now, perhaps you can actually tell us what being a division director was like. What does it encompass? Did you have a big area to cover?
Well, I had from Wicklow all the way up to Belfast, so yes, it was quite a big area. But as I discovered when I spoke to my colleagues over in the UK, that was quite small to the area that they had to cover. They had to cover quite a big area. But I was very fortunate that I had 7 people as part of my team who helped me to look after, to make sure that we were growing, that we were encouraging people all the time, because that's what being a division director is all about. It's about encouraging people to take that extra step.
Thank you, Peter. Now, how do you encourage the people to take that extra step, especially those 7 area directors?
Well, I was very fortunate that the 7 area directors I had were absolutely superb. I knew them all personally, so that was great. It's about knowing your team. And once you know your team, then that really helps. That smooths out any issues. And I was actually listening to them rather than they listening to me. And this is what I spoke about in the book. Leadership is about a journey. It's about learning. And I learned off these people. And that's what really was. And how do you encourage people? You motivate them by insisting that their importance to the organisation. I mean, I may be the division director, but I always came across that I was not the boss. And that's what's very important, to let them know that they are the boss, not me.
And perhaps you can tell us about some of the interesting things that happened. It wasn't just a straightforward year, was it, by any means?
No, I was only a couple of days in the role, and I got a phone call about organising a Toastmasters meeting during the summer. This had been never heard of in Ireland. It had never been heard of. So we got a small committee together. We found a new venue because it was very important that nobody owned, that everybody owned. Nobody singly owned this idea, that everybody owned it. And it was fantastic. We got 50 or 60 people to every meeting. It's something that had never happened in Ireland before. In fact, we even may have had 1 or 2 visitors from Portlaoise and from other clubs in Division D, if I remember. And we also had Mullingar Toastmasters come along. But this was the idea of people, not of mine. I was on holidays when I got this phone call, and within 5 minutes I said yes. I bought into the idea. And that's what's very important to me, that people come to me with ideas and I invite into them and I encourage them. So that's where that's why I felt.
And that was the start of a very interesting year. And I know lots of other things happened to you, which are covered beautifully in your book, yeah? But can I just go straight almost to probably the end of the book? And I understand you organised a trip to Las Vegas for Toastmasters.
Yes. In fact, it started here in the Collection Hotel, believe it or not.
Yeah.
At one of the training sessions, I put the idea out there, if anyone would be interested in going to that year's international convention in Las Vegas. And I got 14 replies within a week. So that's what started me. So
That's
yes.
ebullience, isn't it?
So yes, absolutely. And so I got around to organising. This is what I love doing. I love organising events and thinking on my feet and outside of the box. So we actually went to San Francisco for 4 nights, and then we went to Las Vegas for 5 nights. And in fact, one person who I thought he was the most ebullient, and he was the quietest, and even going home with a Las Vegas suitcase, loud. And you would not have taken this guy at the start of the trip would have been so ebullient on the trip, but he took the Las Vegas like a fish to water.
And I understand you had a very interesting venue for one of the Toastmaster meetings out in Las Vegas.
Yes, we did. We actually, well, it wasn't in Las Vegas, but we drove between San Francisco to Monterey, return, in a stretch limousine with wine, champagne and beer. So on the way back, naturally being Toastmasters, we had to have a meeting.
Very good.
And we made sure that their whistles were well wet by the time that the topic session came around. And we also actually watched a stunning sunset over Monterey Bay from the limo. So it was a spectacular trip. It was a long day, but it was well worth it. And to actually have a full Toastmasters meeting in a stretch limo is just something that will always live with me.
Well, that certainly is. Now, what advice would you give to anyone who's thinking of standing as division director?
Or even area? Go for it.
Yes.
Absolutely. It's a huge learning opportunity. And I've always seen everything in Toastmasters as being like a journey.
Good.
In the 16 years that I've been in, I'm still on that journey. The train hasn't hit the buffers yet. It may do someday, but I'm still on that journey. And I would encourage people, even for the club, even to join the committee, to, you know, I'm sure that there's people, if I can just put it this way, on the way down to training in Portlaoise, I was going down with the then current division director, Luann Kent, who many people might know. And Luann says to me in the car, I don't know who I'm going to get as my successor. Now, given that I was Luann's assistant, I've asked this person, I've asked that person, I've asked the other person, and I turned to Luann and I said, you've never asked me. Well, the car nearly came off the road and across the Curragh racecourse. And she said, you never said. And I said, you never asked. And that's something that there might be people there who might be willing to do something in the audience, but they just haven't been asked. And that's why I think that's the thing, that one important lesson that I learned, that I made sure I asked those questions in my year. Because that was an important lesson before it even began. Never be afraid to ask somebody to do something.
I'd like to thank you, Peter. This is Toastmaster ebullience in action. Yeah, you've seen it tonight. So I'd like you to give a big round of applause. Thank you very much, Peter. It's been a privilege speaking to you.
And I believe that you are just on the verge of becoming a distinguished Toastmaster yourself.
Yeah.
Many congratulations, Mark.
Okay.
And the journey doesn't end. It continues. It continues.
Okay, thanks.